If your time machine dropped you on this island, it might not look dangerous. At first, the dinosaurs would seem smaller, and for about 3 seconds, that might feel like good news. No towering giants, no obvious tyrannosaur, no endless continent full of monsters, just a quiet island. That is the trap, because Hatzeg did not remove the monsters, it redesigned them. It made danger harder to recognize, and the thing you needed to fear most was not running through the trees, it was the shadow passing over them. This was Hatzeg Island. Around 70 million years ago, Europe was not the continent we know today. It was a broken world of islands, scattered through warm, ancient seas. One of those islands sat in what is now Transylvania, Romania. Today, the Hatzeg Basin is rock, hills, and fossil beds. But in the Late Cretaceous, it was a living experiment. The air would have been warm. Rivers cut through forests and wetlands. Dry ground could turn into mud, and open spaces could vanish into vegetation. On continents, animals can spread out. Predators can follow herds. Populations can move across enormous distances. But islands are different. An island is a closed room. There is only so much space, only so much food, only so many places to hide. And when life is trapped in that room for millions of years, evolution starts making strange choices. This was closed room evolution. Large animals can shrink. Small animals can become more important. Food chains compress. Predators adapt to whatever prey remains. And familiar worlds begin to look wrong. That is what made Hatzeg so dangerous. It was not empty. It was not peaceful. It was an island where isolation had rewritten the rules of survival. The most famous thing about Hatzeg is that some of its dinosaurs were smaller than expected. Not imaginary, not babies mistaken for adults. Actual island animals, shaped by limited space and limited resources. Their bones did not read like baby giants waiting to grow. They read like animals whose entire lineages had been scaled down. That strange pattern was noticed early by Franz Nopsche, who helped connect these small dinosaurs to island isolation. There was Madjarosaurus, a sauropod, but not the towering giant most people picture. There was Telmatosaurus, a modest plant eater, moving through ferns and low vegetation. And if you saw them first, your brain might make a deadly mistake. You might think this was the easier version of the dinosaur world, a smaller sauropod, a manageable herbivore, a quiet meadow, a place where the giants had been reduced. But smaller prey does not mean a safer world. It means predators do not need to be built the same way. They do not need to chase animals the size of buildings. They only need to dominate what the island gives them. And on Hatzeg, that opened a very strange space at the top of the food chain. At first, the island might seem calm. A herd feeds, the forest moves in the wind. Then one animal stops. Then another. The clearing goes quiet. A shadow crosses the ground, and your brain would probably expect a dinosaur, a giant land predator, something with teeth, claws, and heavy legs. But on Hatzeg, the obvious giant predator seems to be missing. No island tyrannosaur, no massive meat-eating dinosaur patrolling the floodplains. So the most dangerous question becomes, where is the predator? Then you see it, not charging, not roaring, just standing there, tall, still, watching. And it has wings. This was Hatzegopteryx, a giant Ashdarchid pterosaur. Not a dinosaur, not a bird, a flying reptile. One of the largest pterosaurs ever found, known from incomplete but intimidating remains. But the worst part is not that it could fly. The worst part is that it probably did not need to. Large Ashdarchids were not helpless on the ground. They likely walked on all fours, using folded wings like forelimbs. Those limbs would let it search ground-level spaces, not just the sky above them. So do not imagine a giant bird circling above you. Imagine a giraffe-sized stalker moving through the forest on long, strange limbs. Its skull was massive. Its beak was long and spear-like. A beak like that does not need teeth to be terrifying. And its skull had to solve an engineering problem. Huge enough to dominate, strong enough to strike, but still light enough for an animal that could fly. Its neck was not simply a fragile pole either. Hatzegopteryx appears to have had a shorter, stronger, more reinforced neck than many other giant pterosaurs. That matters, because predators are shaped by what they do. A delicate neck is enough for delicate prey. A stronger neck suggests an animal built to handle force, not proof of movie monster behavior, but enough to make this animal deeply unsettling. On most continents, a creature like this might have lived under the pressure of larger land predators. But Hatzeg was different. Here, the dinosaurs had shrunk. The ecosystem had warped, and the empty apex niche may not have belonged to a dinosaur at all. It may have belonged to a walking predator with wings. A body built for ground movement, wings built for distance, a neck built for impact, and a skull built to make every small animal nearby look like a mistake. This is the real danger of Hatzeg Island. It was not just one monster, it was the whole system. The prey animals were smaller, the predator roles were strange. The food chain had bent into a shape no human instinct was built to understand. Even the supporting cast felt wrong. Stocky island animals like Balaur did not fit the clean raptor image people expect. Tiny mammals with strange teeth moved through the undergrowth. Crocodile-like reptiles waded in the waterways. On a mainland, you might run until the landscape changed. But on an island, every direction eventually becomes coastline. Every river matters. Every clearing matters. Every hiding place matters. Hatzeg was not a refuge. It was a trap, with trees, rivers, bones, and animals that did not fit the rules. Your first real problem would probably be water. Humans can delay food. We can hide. We can ration energy. But eventually, we have to drink. And on Hatzeg, water would not be safe. A river is not just a river. It is a meeting point. Every thirsty animal comes there, and every predator learns that every thirsty animal comes there. The mud would be full of tracks, small dinosaurs, turtles, lizards, crocodile-like reptiles, maybe things that noticed you long before you noticed them. To drink, you would have to kneel, lower your head, and stop scanning the trees. You step closer. The water is still. Then it moves. A ripple spreads. Something under the surface shifts, and suddenly the river is not a resource. It is an ambush point. Even away from the water, the island keeps stacking risks. Small predators in the brush, armored animals in the forest, wetlands full of hidden movement. A whole ecosystem watching from places you cannot see. Food would not be much safer. The plants would be unfamiliar. Some might be toxic. Small animals would be fast. Eggs might be guarded. And that matters more than it sounds. Hatzeg was not just a hunting ground. Parts of this lost world preserve evidence of eggs, hatchlings, and nursery-like places where young dinosaurs once lived. That sounds fragile, but fragile things are often defended. A nest is not free food, it is a risk, and a carcass might be even worse. Dead animals do not just mean food, they mean attention. Scavengers and predators notice them, and if Hatzegopteryx arrived, you would not be competing for a meal. You would be standing inside one. Eventually, you would run. Through ferns, through mud, through a forest that does not sound like any forest your brain understands. Maybe you would reach the beach. For one moment, it might feel like escape. Open air, no trees, no shadows. But the ocean is not an exit. It is a wall. No boat, only coastline, only forest behind you, only water ahead. And then the shadow returns. Because Hatzeg did not need to chase you forever. It only needed to keep you on the island. We know this world only from what it left behind. Bones, sediments, fossil fragments, growth patterns, eggshells, tiny remains from animals that never got to grow up. The fossil record is incomplete. So we cannot pretend to know every hunt, every sound, or every death. But the evidence points to something stranger than a simple monster island. It points to a world where isolation changed survival itself. The dinosaurs became smaller. The food chain bent. And the predator at the top may have had wings. Hatzeg was not the safe version of the dinosaur world. It was the version that learned how to hide the monster. Danger did not disappear. It evolved.